Blessings to all of you. Welcome to another program of Aloka Dhamma discussion. As always, today I have the privilege again of welcoming Venerable Sandalanka Kalyana Dasana Thero and Venerable Gampa Sumanawansu Thero for our discussion. Today we have celebrated 76th Independence Day of Sri Lanka, and also we are very proud to say that we are just completed 4th year of JAYA TV establishment, and we are celebrating 4th year of this network. And in parallel to that, we have launched a novel program to develop the emotional intelligence of Sri Lankan entrepreneurs called Sirisara, which we have just embarked today in parallel to our 4th anniversary. So which is more or less common to this Aloka program, because that is one of the objectives we have in this program, to develop Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, the younger generation, and as individuals, everybody in this country. So the first question I would like to ask from Venerable Sandalanka Kalyana Dasana Thero, most important thing what we need to understand is we do not have infinite time or resources, but we do have limited time and resources to spare. But unfortunately, one of the problems is that most of us try to do things assuming we have infinite number of resources and infinite time, and we do not maximize the use of time available to us, and we do a lot of unimportant things, non-value adding things when we do our daily activities. How Buddhism guide us not to do the unimportant things and non-value added things in our life.
Acharita brahmacharyang aladda yobbane dana jinna konchava jayanti kina majcheva pallale. Those who have not led the holy life and those who have not won riches while young, they linger on as aged cranes around a fished out pond. With respect to Venerable Gampa Sumanawansu Thero, Mr. Karagala, and the devotees, this Gatha was given in Dhammapada Jayamaga. It was preached by the Lord Buddha while residing at Isipatana with reference to Mahadana, the treasurer's son. Dear devotees, in the time of the Lord Buddha, Mahadana was born at Benares in a household that was worth 800 millions. There his mother and father thought to themselves, we have a vast amount of wealth in our house, and there is no necessity that our son should do anything else than enjoy himself according to his own good. Accordingly, they had him instructed in singing and in the playing of musical instruments, and that was all the instructions he received. Likewise, in that same city, in another household worth 800 millions, a daughter was also born. The same thought occurred to her parents as well, and in the same manner, they only instructed her in dancing and singing. When the two reached adulthood, they were married with the customary ceremonies. In the course of time, both the mothers and fathers died, and the couple inherited the wealth of 1.6 billion. One day, some cunning people who lived in the city thought to themselves, if only this treasurer's son would become an alcoholic, we would be able to trick him and get his money. So they bought some strong alcohol and went to a place where the treasurer's son Mahadana was at. When he saw these people drink, the treasurer's son asked his attendant, "What are they drinking?" The attendant said, "It's a drink." Then the treasurer's son asked again, does it taste good? So this unwise attendant replied, in this world, there is no kind of drink that can be compared with this. After hearing, he ordered his servants to bring him some alcohol. He first drank a little, then he drank a little more. At the end, he finished all the alcohol the attendant brought. Before long, the cunning people found out that he had taken up drinking and started to flock around him. As time went by, the crowd around him increased. He would spend hundreds of gold pounds at a time. Sometimes when he is drunk, he would say, take these coins and fetch me flowers. Take these coins and fetch me perfumes. This person is good at dancing, this one singing, and that one at playing the instruments. Give this man 1,000 and 2,000. In this manner, he started to spend his money. In no time, he wasted all the 800 million worth treasury that belonged to him. Then he spent his wife's 800 million worth of treasury as well. After that, he didn't have any money. He started to sell his land and belongings and clothes and also spend that money in the same manner for the parties. At the end, when he became old, he sold his house. After selling the house, he and his wife were kicked out and they didn't have any money, so they began to beg for food and started to eat the leftovers. One day, Lord Buddha saw this Mahadana begging in the street and smiled at him. Ananda Thero asked for the reason for smiling. There the Lord Buddha explained, saying, Ananda, look here at Mahadana, the treasurer's son. In this very city, he wasted a wealth of 1.6 billion. Now both him and his wife are begging. At his prime age, if he had prioritized what was important without wasting his wealth and used that for a business, he would have become the wealthiest person in this city. And if both in their youth had entered the dispensation, Mahadana would have become an arahant and his wife would have become a non-returner, anagami level. But now he has fallen away from the state of religious person. He has become like an old crane in a dried up pond. Mr. Kärgala, now it is clear that to develop good conduct, it takes a long time. But to lose it, it only takes a very short time. Because of this, we all need to manage and prioritize only what is important to us.
So, well, the learning for all of us in this story is the importance of prioritizing our work and the targets and the activities we have to do day in and day out. And we should not waste our time and resource doing unnecessary things. Do not do anything if it is not adding value to you, your team or your family or to your organization or at least to the country. So that's the learning what we have to get from this story. So I'll move into a totally different topic which is very common in current world. As layman, one of the most common phrase we always say when we don't achieve something, bad luck or we don't have luck. And we always try to pray for better luck for next time. And we go behind the planets and the stars in the sky to make sure that we will have a better luck in next time. As individuals, it is important to move away from this perception that the stars and the planets in the sky can help us. Venerable Gampa Sumanasutero, how as Buddhist, which is not right, how as Buddhists we can move away from this wrong belief and perception about these planets and stars can help us.
With respect to Venerable Sandalankave Kalendasana Thero, Mr. Karagala and dear devotees, when someone doesn't prioritize what is important and does what is not important, then that person will lose something very precious. What is it that he loses? It is the time he has to fulfill his responsibilities and duties. Dear devotees, in the Kuddaka Nikaya, Jataka Pali, there is a very beautiful story named Nakkatta Jataka story, which can be used as an example for the negative impacts of not prioritizing and the consequences of believing in astrology. The Lord Buddha preached, Nakkattang patimanettang atto balang upacchaga, atto attassa nakkattang kinkarissanti tarakati. Dear devotees, the meaning of this verse is, those who are unwise and believe in astrology for auspicious times will never become successful. And if someone is successful, then that time is his auspicious time. So what other fortune can be gained by believing in stars? Dear devotees, in one of Mahabodhisattva's past lives, he was once a wise and respected man. One day, some people from the city decided to arrange a marriage between their son, Mahabodhisattva, and a country girl, and set a date for their marriage as well, with her family. At that time, many people believed in astrology, and because of this, the city family consulted a naked ascetic, Niganta, to see if the date and the time that they had chosen for the wedding was lucky or not, fortunate or not. Dear devotees, the ascetic that they met was very prideful. He became upset for picking a date and time without consulting him first. Because of anger, he lied and said the stars were not favorable, and there would be great misfortune and bad luck if this marriage happens on this date and on this time. Since the people believed in astrology so much, they didn't doubt the ascetic, and on the agreed date, the city family stayed at home without turning up for the wedding. The country folk, after preparing the marriage on the agreed date, were quite upset when the bridegroom and his family didn't show up. Because the people of the city didn't come, the country girl's parents married the girl off to a man from the village. After that, on the next day, the people from the city showed up in the village with preparations for the marriage. After arriving, they found out that the girl had been married off to someone else, and an argument broke out between the two families. Dear devotees, at that time the Mahabodhisattva, who lived in the city, was also in that village because of work related to his business. There he heard the commotion and the arguments between the two groups, and told the people from the city with contempt that they were fools for believing in astrology, because there is no luck to be found in the stars. Then the people from the city, with great regret, went home without the new bride. Dear devotees, not only in his past lives, but even in the lifetime of the Lord Buddha, a marriage between two families was ruined by a resentful ascetic, almost exactly in the same way as it had happened in the past, with the only difference being that the bride's family lived in the town and the bridegroom's family lived in the countryside. and this time it was the bride's family who consulted the ascetic. Then one day the Lord Buddha heard some of his disciples discussing about the failed marriage between the two families. There the Blessed One told them this story so that they can know the same thing had happened to the two families and the ascetic in their past lives as well. Dear devotees, this is what happens nowadays as well. Some people don't have the courage in themselves, and because of this, they waste their money and time on going and praying to different and multiple gods and following astrologists, expecting to become successful. What they need to do is what is important to become successful at that moment, instead of believing in something irrational like astrology.
So, as Venerable Gampa Sunasateru clearly explained, it is up to us to decide what is the right time for us. Nobody else, not even a star or a planet, can dictate that. But unfortunately, this belief in planets and stars pushes us to go behind astrology and astrologists to support us and actually to bribe our mind. That happens only if we do not have a self-confidence about ourselves. Venerable Sandalanka Kalandasanateru, how can we improve our self-confidence and how can we be happy through that by following Buddhist philosophy?
Mr. Karagala, nowadays, some parents who have children that are preparing for exams have a blind faith, and because of that, they do some unnecessary things, hoping those will help their children to get good marks. Dear devotees, worshipping the Buddha while preparing for exams is a good thing, but worshipping only is not an eligibility to pass your exam. You need to study as well. There are some people who only remember that there is something called Buddhism and someone named Buddha when they lose confidence in themselves nearing the exam. So dear devotees, performing the Bodhi Puja is good, but I would like to ask you something. What is the purpose of hanging a flag with your exam index number and the name on a bow tree? You are doing something that is completely silly and useless. They do this because astrologists tell them to do it. If everything can be solved by hanging a flag on a bow tree or Bodhi tree, then there is no need for us to make any effort for anything. The only reason you are doing this is because you don't have confidence in yourself. The bow tree symbolizes the Lord Buddha. So by hanging a flag on the bow tree, isn't that the same as hanging a flag on the Lord Buddha? The Lord Buddha preached that if you have good conduct by body, speech, and mind, then you can be confident in yourself. In other ways, if you are virtuous and have good concentration, then there is nothing to be worried about. Dear devotees, one sutta given in Anguttara Nikaya, Mahavagga, Mangalavagga, it is preached how we can be happy all day and in turn be confident in ourselves by Lord Buddha. It is given like this: Sunakkattang sumangalang suppabhatang suvuttitang. Every moment is auspicious for people who engage in good conduct by body, speech, and mind. Not only that, but he will have a successful future because he doesn't have to wait for an auspicious time when doing something. Instead, he can do it as soon as he is ready. Because he is happy, he will have a good morning and wake up in a happy mood. And when he is happy, he can quickly gain good concentration as well. In the same manner, he has a good afternoon and in turn has a cheerful afternoon. Not only that, but in the evening also, he is always smiling in happiness. And at night, he goes to sleep in happiness because he had an excellent day and because he knows tomorrow will also be a successful day. Dear devotees, after saying this, the Lord Buddha also preached, if someone gives alms with good conduct by body, speech and mind, then that itself is his auspicious time or blissful hour and a great blessing for him. To those leading the spiritual life, upright acts of body and speech, upright thoughts and aspirations will be able to obtain good benefits. Those happy ones who have gained such benefits come to grow in the Buddha's teaching. Finally, I would say, instead of believing in things like stars, auspicious times, mantra and astrologies, dear devotees, it is better to believe in you, your virtue, which you have faithfully developed. So be confident in your good conduct and don't let astrologists trick you into doing something that is silly and useless.
So it's crystal clear that believing the planets and the stars in the sky can control ourselves is totally wrong. And make sure that not to make those stars to control yourself and your life. You take control yourself. Nobody else should be able to control yourself or your life. Your persistence and focus effort are more powerful than any of the stars or the planets in this world. So I'm moving into another topic. We discussed a couple of weeks back multiple times about the importance of doing our best and the maximum in everything. But understanding when and at what point to stop and give up is one of the most difficult skills, but a very important skill to master, because we always as individuals try to do everything too much. Venerable Gampa Sumanawansa Thero, so is Buddhism teaching us to do everything possible at the highest possible level, or is it teaching us to understand our limits and not to do overdo things?
There is an excellent story in the Anguttara Nikaya called Chakka Nipata of Sonathero that explains this point. Dear devotees, before Sonathero joined the dispensation, he was living in a very luxurious life. It is described that he lived in so much comfort that body hair started to grow from the sole of his feet. But after hearing one of the Lord Buddha's sermons, he decided to join the dispensation. So he went and got his parents' permission. After that, he became a monk in the order of Sangha. Because he was very wealthy in his lay life, he became famous. So many people came to meet him, and this disturbed him in his meditation. Then Sonathero thought to himself, there are many people coming to meet me. How am I supposed to develop my insight meditation? So I think it will be good if I go to the Sitavana cemetery to fulfill my monkhood after receiving meditation advice from the Lord Buddha. Since the cemetery is deserted, I should be able to do my meditation in peace. After that, he got meditation advice from the Lord Buddha and went to the Sitavana cemetery and started to strive. There he thought, my body is very soft, so I won't be able to attain fruition if I strive in comfort. So I should make a strenuous effort with my body. In this manner, he started to strive while only doing the walking meditation. Then injuries started to appear in the soles of his feet. Blood started to pour out. But he still didn't stop. The whole walking path became covered with blood. Then when he could no longer walk, he started to walk on his knees and arms. But even after all of his effort, he was still unable to attain the slightest improvement in his insight meditation. Then Sonatero thought, I am one of the Blessed One's most energetic disciples, yet my mind has not been liberated from the taints by non-clinging. Now there is wealth in my family, and it is possible for me to enjoy my wealth and do meritorious deeds. So let me then give up the training and return to the lay life, so that I can enjoy my wealth and do meritorious deeds. Dear devotees, the Lord Buddha saw this and appeared in front of Sonatero and asked if he thought of disrobing. And after he said yes, the Lord Buddha asked, tell me, Sona, in the past when you lived at home, weren't you skilled at the lute? Yes, Bhante, said Sonatero. Then the Lord Buddha asked again, what do you think, Sona? When its strings were too tight, was your lute well tuned and easy to play? No, Bhante. When its strings were too loose, was your lute well tuned and easy to play? Again Sonatero said, no. But Sona, when its strings were neither too tight nor too loose, but adjusted to a balanced pitch, was your lute well tuned and easy to play? Yes, Bhante, agreed Sonatero. Finally, the Lord Buddha preached, Sona, in the same manner, if energy is aroused too forcefully, that leads to restlessness. And if effort is too lax, that leads to laziness. Therefore, Sona, resolve on a balance of effort, achieve evenness of the spiritual faculties. Yes, Bhante, Venerable Sona replied. Except for sati, mindfulness, we need to equalize our samadhi and virya, our concentration and effort, and our saddha and panya, our faith and wisdom. If someone's wisdom is low and their faith is high, then they will have a blinded faith. And if someone's faith is low and their wisdom is high, then they will become cunning and say things like, don't do pujas, don't worship anyone. Both are useless, you only need to meditate. Dear devotees, you need to know your limits when doing something. If you do that, then you will be able to reach your goal easily. If you do not know your limits, then you will only become exhausted for no reason.
When you don't know when to stop and when you overdo things, it will lead you to do extreme of some of the variables and some of the activities in your life that distract and disturb your balance in your life. So at the end, it will definitely cause distraction and downfall to your whole life. So as individuals, it's up to us to decide how do we balance our life in a manner without falling into any of the extremes. So this will bring us to another program and end of another program. As always, our objective of this Aloka Dhamma discussion is to show the world how practical Buddhism and how practically we can apply the teachings of Lord Buddha and the Buddhism to our daily life. As always, with great respect, I thank both Venerable Gampa Sumanasa Thero and Sandalanka Kalandasana Thero for their dedication and the time given to all of us. viewers in explaining the theories of Buddhism and how practical the Buddhism is. Blessing to all of you. Teruvan Saranai.